Hey all, relatively brief one here. I am once again using Hulkling to just mow down path 3 here. First two fights are going to be incredibly simple, and then we're going to have a few more interesting ones as we go along later, basically really leaning on the fact that Hulkling gains a lot of power into block if you keep his charges up, as he keeps converting things to those pierce buffs and then a couple solid read fights. And that's pretty much what this war is. The theme of this season, as far as I'm concerned, has pretty much been me taking fights. Never too many. This has been a very light season compared to Defiance. But I'm just taking things that I need to take because somebody needs to take them, and I keep having the right characters for it. So, gonna keep doing it, and that's gonna be fine. So I threw that not because I necessarily think that the Special 2 is optimal, but more I was just kind of seeing how would it feel to throw it and get just the single Fury. Would it feel like it was worth it? Because that's probably what your optimal damage rotation will be on this node once the bug is fixed and Special Lock doesn't give you infinite Special 3s. Because, just as a reminder, that's not how that's supposed to work. And it would still be completely fine. I mean, we're making great progress here. Obviously, this Super Skrull is not super high sig. This would be significantly more dangerous if he were, but I still think that it would be pretty safe. Hulkling can also parry to get that bulwark. He's pretty tanky if that's what you need him to be. So going quite well. I mean, I suppose the flip side of that is that if you do send a Super Skrull unblockable, then he's nasty almost no matter who you're using. But I think that Hulkling has the ability to slow play this well enough that that wouldn't be an issue. As a matter of fact, Hulkling is actually better at slow playing than most people because it just fuels his charges. So there we go. Finish it off with a special 3. No big deal. Gonna move on to this Colossus. This is about as simple as it can be, which is funny because if you bring someone who's not power burn immune, Colossus is kind of nightmarish here. Because it's very difficult to get around those armor ups, and you're going to be taking a ton of power burn. But you bring somebody who's immune, and they just kind of bypass it. Which I understand that is not everybody's favorite way of dealing with war, honestly, because it is kind of a binary thing. Personally, I think I'm okay with it because defenders like Colossus don't really have a place on the map without something like this, because he just becomes the world's easiest Corvus charge or Apocalypse charge, right? Whereas if you put him here, then not only does Colossus have a spot where he makes sense on your defense without being an active detriment to the entire alliance, it also gives characters like Hulkling and Gallon, but also potentially, if you need to, King Groot or Annihilus or a few others, a place to shine as attackers. And so I'm fine with that. I think it makes sense, and I imagine we'll see more of it because we're just getting more and more characters in the game. So this Guardian, this one is a little odd, but basically what I'm doing here is I'm throwing on the Magneto House of X, not because I think I need it, but because I do not want to parry and accidentally trigger Masochism. Because if I do that, not only is he going to heal from Masochism, but it's going to turn on the Masochism bug, and then I'm going to have to do some rather annoying things and possibly mess up strike counter to reset that bug and make it so he's not healing literally everything. So, very happy to have House of X here. The goal for this fight, kind of like I alluded to earlier, is just hit into his block a lot. Really try and hold down our charges. I'm not doing a great job of that here because I'm honestly throwing way too many mediums. And at this point, if I had intercepted with one more medium or punished that heavy, then he would start gaining Furies. Now, that wasn't awesome. Clearly, I was, I don't know, late on the dashback or I tried to block and it didn't take. I don't know. The point is just that we have not yet run out of charges, and we're just going to keep parrying here or blocking thanks to our 3 bulwarks, and now we have the special 3. So, with this node bugged as it currently is, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to try and play it safe. I'm just going to loop special 3s. But if this node were not bugged, and if I could properly Dex Guardian special 1, that one really annoyed me because I tried to block the beginning and Dex out of it and ate it instead. Whatever. Point is, if this node were not bugged and you had to take this, what you would want to do is you would use Hulkling probably with Cosmic Power back boosts, because that would give you a decent chunk back. And then you would just do the same thing again, because it would kind of be like power starting. You would build power into block, your charges would be reset. You'd try to limit how many mediums you landed. You, of course, wouldn't throw heavies, because that would trigger both Masochism and Conduit. And you would just build back up to the special 3 and do exactly what we're doing here. So I do think that this is a very good fight either way. It's just obviously going to take longer if you do not have this bug helping you out by giving you 3 free bars of power every time. Note that I'm trying to make sure we have 4 Pierce buffs before throwing this every time, because we're not actually getting rid of Guardian's armor, and so to have our special 3 do as much damage as possible, we want to get more armor penetration. Because I believe the last time I tested it, special 3s ignore resistances because they are not considered to be typed damage, but they are considered to be hit damage, and so they do take armor into account. You want to get around as much of it as you can. Now, Hulkling can take Peni on Spite here. It is something that crossed my mind, but it's also something I don't need to do, or shouldn't need to do if I could parry with Reed there, or reparry. That was kind of frustrating. Because I've done this fight many times with Reed. Rise to Power does work against you a little bit, but it's not the end of the world, because you just keep controlling Peni's charges by hitting into her and triggering that auto block. Note that we even threw a medium there, not just a heavy, because I knew that it would trigger it. Then I backed off and felt comfortable throwing the special 2 into her while she had only 2 charges. Now, Reed's modified attack is also high enough. If you want to, you can break the shield here. You can hit in and remove that as a problem entirely. I didn't feel the need here because we were now ramped. I had a game plan. She's not very likely to become a problem if you just keep hitting in. Look at all of those auto blocks that we've triggered completely safely thanks to the House of X pre-fight. I hit in there, again, medium light instead of a heavy, because I know that it's going to... That's just more chances to hit within the passive stun, trigger the auto block, back off, throw a special 2, fight is over. Very, very simple. We move on to this Darkhawk. This is another one that's a little bit trickier, and that's primarily because Aspect of Evolution is a very difficult, frustrating node. Because Darkhawk is going to be crossing a lot of bars of power thanks to Kinetic Transference, and that means that his attack and block penetration is going to keep rising. That could be an issue. He's also going to gain more and more power as he does that. The plan here, though, is kind of similar to Guardian. We're going to take advantage of the fact that Hulkling just builds power very easily. We're going to hit into Darkhawk a lot, and we're going to try and push to our special 3s, throw them with 4 Pierce, to make sure that we do as much damage on them as we possibly can. And as you can see, before we even get to the special 3, we're being reminded here that Darkhawk actually has a pretty small health pool. He's often relying on his auto block and his immunities to help him out. When we're getting around that with our Pierce buffs, there's not all that much to worry about here. So I go ahead and throw this special 3, and I wasn't really concerned about baiting out the special 2 after this, because I actually figured, I can just Dex out of it. He'll gain less power from this than he would from the special 1, and then we'll just dance. But I tried to Dex there and blocked instead. kind of frustrating. We know it happens, especially with larger defenders and attackers that have more reach on their mediums, like Darkhawk does with his wings. Not how I wanted this to go. But thankfully, he didn't hit that hard on the special 3. We regen some of it back. That was my last Hulkling fight, and we finished it off. So yeah. Definitely would play that a little bit differently next time. Try and be at a different bar of power, or just, I don't know, practice my dexes more. That feels like something that I shouldn't need to do that much, but oh well. Lesson learned, and then we have Reed against this Mangog yet again. There's just not much to this. If it is a rank 4 Mangog, then I worry, like, I don't worry, but I just, I'm more likely to power start, basically. And I really keep an eye on his rage stacks. I may even power back to make sure we get it under control quickly. But against a rank 3, I figure even if he goes unblockable, unstoppable, I'm probably going to have a bar of power when he does it, or I'm going to stagger it. That's just what I'm going to watch for. But I'm probably going to just push him straight to the special 2 if I can, because I know I can tank it. So right here you see that former approach. I intentionally push him to 10 rage. I throw the special 1 because I know that our 2 suppression are helping us out. He throws it, and I back off after only 1 hit because I want to wait and block and basically just wait out his time at 10 rage. I threw the heavy even knowing he might throw his special after that because I really did not want to lose our debuffs, especially if he threw another special 1 and went unblockable, unstoppable again. Because we had the special. Or, sorry, we didn't have the special, but I knew that there wasn't all that much time left and I could afford to dance. And there we go. That is the best possible thing that can happen on this fight, which is that we don't even need to tank the special 2, because going for the dex once allows Reed to fully evade the rest. That doesn't happen very often, but it's very, very fun when it does. Feels so cool. And that's War 10 for me. So we are... I honestly forget exactly how this particular war went. I believe we won this one. But I'm just going to speak to the broader season. We are kind of set up to be on that line between Platinum 1 and Masters. We've won some good fights, but we started in Tier 2. We've lost a couple important ones that we probably shouldn't have lost, but we've just been dropping deaths that we shouldn't drop if we want to make Masters. So we'll see how these last 2 go. And one way or another, I'll have more shards towards the next feature crystal, and another rank 4 at the end of this. So, look forward to picking that, because I still don't know who I'm going to pick. I'll probably be talking about that on a stream soon. But until then, thanks so much for watching, and take care.